What, the recording time?
Yeah. All right.
It's the recording
Anyway, it's
time.
episode. Is it episode 5? Because we're having a disaster this year. What with cancellations,
With it, which
people
episode it is?
causing
I think it
trouble.
is. I think it is. Yes, I think it is. It was my fault. I couldn't do last time. So
It
I do
wasn't your fault.
apologise.
You were out helping the public, so it wasn't your fault. You did something very commendable that
Thank you.
could, in all honesty, and I always have a joke with you. I do always have a joke, but what you are doing, which the public don't necessarily understand, is making it a safer place for children
Thank
and
you.
young adults. And
Yeah,
at the end of the day, you, without realizing it, the little bit you've done could save someone's life.
and
And
that's why it's not always a 9 to 5, Monday to
well,
Friday
that's
job.
it. And I think if I was a viewer who listened to this show, which, well, there might be one, but if there is someone that does listen to the show or plays it back and listens to it, normally they see that we're having a bit of a giggle over things. But as you're well aware, when it's something like this, clearly your intervention into the situation when you called me was, I have to go and do this. I knew by the severity of the conversation that you helping to put someone who mustn't be on the streets in custody was likely and hopefully doing the right thing for the public. But more importantly, as I say, you've contributed to possibly saving someone's life, or maybe
Yeah,
more. So
yeah.
ultimately, that really is far more important than, without being rude, the Sports Tech show on a Monday night a couple of weeks ago.
Well, put it
Even
this
though I
way,
was all ready for your quiz that you never did.
he wasn't a nice man. Put it that way. He was
No,
not a nice man.
no,
So
no.
glad he's
Behind
not on the
bars.
streets.
Yeah,
Mm. So
yeah.
on to nicer things. God, it's been a busy week. It's been a mad,
For
crazy
you,
week. I'll say. There's been so much going on, football and basketball. And then, of course, because we didn't do the last show, we missed the end of the Six Nations.
did
So,
we? Some of us didn't even see
yeah,
the start of
I
it.
know you wouldn't know that.
Have I got to guess? Don't ask me to guess the scores. I don't even know who played.
I can't even remember, but I do have to say, for the first time in, I can't even, it could be the first time ever,
Oh, I
Italy
know
did not
Wales
get the
lost because they
wooden
won a spoon,
spoon.
didn't they?
Yes, they got the wooden spoon,
Hmm.
and not Italy. And Italy actually won a game, and well, and well, which was
Who did they beat?
fantastic. Wales, they beat Wales.
Italy beat Wales.
Yes, that
All
was the
right.
last
Yeah, yeah,
game.
yeah. That rings a bell. I think I might have said something about that. That's God. Was that 2 weeks ago?
Well, yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
I pay a lot of
Um,
attention to it, don't I?
It was on the Saturday, and I was actually commentating for Dunstable on that Saturday, so I didn't actually get to see the game until I got home, and it was like Italy beat Wales. They didn't get the wooden spoon. I had to watch all the highlights, and very good. It was amazing. They played so well. They didn't kind of, win the game by default or because of Wales' mistakes or anything like that. They actually won through their own good play, which was nice.
Mm.
So
See, it's amazing what
yay.
pasta can do.
If they've changed their chef, they need to stick to that person.
Wales need to change their chef by the sounds of it. It's been getting into the
Absolutely.
leek soup
Yeah.
for
I mean,
them.
to be fair, they've gone down really quickly, which has surprised me. Um, it's only what
Who's
they
their
won the
manager?
World Cup. They won the Six Nations. What was it? Last time, wasn't it? The last Six Nations, I
I
think,
don't know.
or the one before. I can't remember. But they seem to have just gone downhill very quickly, which is a worry
Maybe
for
there's a
them,
lot
I'm
of older
sure.
players that retired.
Yeah, yeah, that could be it. Yeah.
Or maybe
Um,
their manager's not very good. Or maybe the depth of the pool of players that they can choose from is not very good.
yeah, they could. I think they did have a
That
couple of
kind of
injuries.
yeah, and that could be injuries too. But that kind of
Mm,
happens in most sports, that you have a team and they go through a period when they're really really good,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden they have a period when everything goes against them. They go off the boil, and all of a sudden That's my phone ringing, yeah?
Excuse me, can you please tell that caller not to interrupt our live show?
Right. I'm telling you, this is a professional footballer on the phone.
Okay, put them on loudspeaker, please. We need to hear
Hold
this
on.
call.
Hold on. Mickey? Steve, all right? Yeah, I'm live on YouTube, and so are you at the moment. You're currently live on my YouTube show with Tara. Yeah, you just rang me. Yeah, but I told you not to call back after 6:30, Mickey, because I'm live on the show. Honestly, all right, mate. I'll speak to you later. Bye. 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 Fruit. So there you go.
You couldn't write that, could you?
No, but you told me to answer it, yeah?
That's so funny.
So now you know the show's live. If anyone's thinking it isn't live, that was
Exactly.
live.
That was
Yeah.
him.
So,
So
go on.
I do have a question. It's a bit of a serious one that does affect a certain sports player. So you're not
Yeah.
going to know the answer, but I am hoping if anybody listens in, they might be able to supply me with the answer. So, what I want to know is for an international basketball player in the NBL, how many seasons can they play for the same team? So, I've been trying to research and it's not very straightforward finding the answer. So, I'm
Is it government
hoping.
contract?
No?
Not by contract.
Well, I don't know if it's a visa issue or if it's a league issue.
Okay, let's go back one step. Are we talking about a foreign player playing in England?
Yeah, an international player, yeah.
Right. So it'll be on their visa then. That's the same as it is in all sports.
That's you see, that's what I thought it was a visa thing as opposed to a league issue.
Okay, so if you take it with professional football, you've
Mm,
got so most Premier League, well, every Premier League side has got foreigners, what we would call foreigners, yeah. So if you're if you're, I'll take my team, Tottenham, right? So Tottenham have got English players who came through the youth ranks before they break into the first team squad, and provided they were at Spurs as a youth, they count as homegrown.
mm,
However, like all top sports sides, football sides, they will buy a player from a foreign country. So if they buy a player from Europe, even though we left the EU, the European footballers will be able to get a permit very, very easily. They just go to the Home Office or Foreign Office, bang, well, it's Home Office, isn't it? Thank you very much. If it's a player that comes from America, Australia, outside of Europe, they have to get a different type of permit to allow them to be able to receive payment in the UK
yeah,
doing their job. So if the Spurs player, if the guy signs to Spurs for 4 years, whilst he's at Tottenham, in those 4 years, he has got a salary that is generated by Tottenham and he gets paid in pounds and the money is taxed in sterling. And therefore he qualifies for that period. Now, however, you might have a player who you've got on a 5 year deal and he gets transferred after 2 years from an English club to another English club. But before he can play for the other English club and after the monies are done, he has to have his visa redone because technically, even though he's in the country, he's now transferred from one job to another job, even if it's the same business. So
yeah.
it's the length and time of the contract. I'm sure it is. Why have you got someone at Milton Keynes Breakers that's foreign who is in the
Well,
UK for X amount of time?
there's a little bit of kind of question mark about eligibility. And I can't find anywhere criteria wise. So I'm wondering if it's a visa thing as opposed to a league regulation.
Well, probably.
But I'm trying to find out. So I've reached out to a few of my Twitter friends who are basketball enthusiasts, and they're all a bit stumped as well. So they're going to try and find out. So I need to find out quickly so that depending on what the issue is, we can resolve it before the start of next season.
Okay, so is it someone that's close to you? in basketball.
Well, it's a player, but I am friends with the family, so we're trying to figure it out and figure out how we can make it okay.
Right.
Does that make
Gut
sense?
instinct is, I think, it's to do with the length of contract.
Or the visa?
And well, obviously, yeah, because obviously, when you get a visa, remember the visa's not stopping him being in the country. It's him. It's his ability to go to work in the country.
Yeah.
So if you want to
Uh,
travel to America let's say you want to go to Australia, and you can say, right, well, I want to go and visit Australia. They go, well, you can come in here for 90 days. That's your lot. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Maybe you've got no friends or family in Australia, so you want to go for a long visit. My friend's just got back from Australia. She's been out there 18 months, but her family live in Australia.
Mm,
So, because her brother lives there and so on, she probably got an extended visa because her family lives out there. It's a
okay.
different story. If I go to Australia, I don't think I could be there for 90 more than 90 days. Now, obviously, if I was instead of being nearly 62, I was nearly 22, and I was living here, but I got off, or let's say 32, I got offered a job, or 42, I got offered a job as the Australian cricket coach because they thought so highly of me. Then I would apply for a visa to be in Australia, which they would then grant for the length of time for my contract, because that's a job where I'm going to be in a job that's in the public eye. You can't say, well, he's not the manager. You know who I am. And
Okay. Yeah,
it's
that
a bit
makes
different.
sense.
So
That
it's
makes
not like I'm
sense.
just going there to visit and I'm going to disappear off to Alice Springs in 5 minutes. So,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So it could be a case of extending it then, right?
you can extend most visas. You can extend if it's sports. Usually you can, but I mean, if it's a Russian sportsman, if at the moment no, but I'm just saying if it's a Russian sportsman, a lot of
Oh,
them are banned from doing sports,
yeah.
and they have to apply individually rather than as country. So I don't know. It's got different rules and regulations for them.
Okay.
Um,
Well, I've
but
put the feelers out and I've put the word out, and we're all kind of trying to figure it all out because nobody really knows for sure. So,
no, well, you can always phone the league, but whether or not they answer the phone's another story. And they
yeah,
might not
yeah.
tell you because
And whether they
obviously
give
you're
you a
not permission
straightforward
free.
answer, that's the
Yeah,
thing.
well,
They might, they talk
yeah.
around the houses, don't they?
Yes and
So,
no doesn't come out most people's mouths when it comes to giving an answer, does it? So, but other than
I
that,
did say.
you've been busy
Other
watching
than
it. Now,
that,
I don't know any of the scores, but I do know that you went to watch the Breakers as well as the football. So let's have an
so
update. You went to see.
shall we? What should we start consecutively?
Go back
Friday
to
and then
wherever we
Saturday.
were 4 weeks ago, wherever it was. I've
Okay.
missed so much.
So let's start with the football on the Friday. So I went to do the UCL Knockout Cup final. That was the reserves division, and that was played at Cookno, and it was the Irchester United reserves were playing Buckingham Development, and we did the commentary for it, and it was. It was an interesting game, and on paper, Buckingham were the better team because they're higher in the league and this, that, and the other. So on paper, Irchester could have had a big struggle on their hands.
The game's played on
Um,
grass.
Pardon?
The game's played on grass.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've got to say to Cook now, considering the weather that we've had the last few weeks, that they've really done well with their pitch.
Mm.
They really have. So it was played on Friday evening, and it wasn't too bad, the weather. A little bit chilly near the end, but no rain or anything like that. And it was a bit of an odd game, I've got to say. Irchester were definitely the better team the sort of first 15, 20 minutes, keeping hold of the ball, having the most possession. So you just thought, it was only a matter of time and Irchester will let loose. But Buckingham maybe had a bit of tactical play, allowing Irchester the possession and then we're going to go and attack, which is pretty much what they did. And like out of nowhere, from way outside the 18-yard box, a shot comes in and in the back of the net. It was,
Buckingham.
yeah, completely against the run of play. So Buckingham go in, start with the 1-0 advantage. And then before half time, it doesn't really unsettle Irchester. They're still playing their possession football. Had a couple of opportunities, but that final ball for them just didn't work out.
Mm.
So again, Buckingham went on the attack, and again from I think it was a corner or a crossing, scored against. They went in at half time 2-0 up, and I think then it was a bit of an uphill struggle for Irchester. But they had a few chances in the second half, couldn't put it in the back of the net. The last 10 minutes of the game were bizarre, absolutely bizarre. So in the second half, Irchester had a red card, so they were down to 10 men anyway. And then the last 10 minutes of the game, it all kicked off on the pitch. Um, oh, I forgot to mention before that, Buckingham had a penalty and scored. Forgot that bit. That was probably quite important. Not shouldn't have forgot that. Sorry. So they were 3-0 up. and then and then last 10 minutes of the game, it all kicked off. There was a bit of a fight breaking out between the players. And then Irchester got shown another 2 red cards. So they went down to 8 men. Literally played the last few minutes of the game with 8 men. It was just bizarre, very, very bizarre. So, got to say, well done to Buckingham Development for winning that cup. At the end of the day, they did deserve it. They kept their composure. They played tactically, and they finished well when they had the chance. Irchester, on the other hand, they had chances but just couldn't finish.
Yeah, that sounds like Spurs at Fulham the other day, but that's another story. Okay, and then well, that was a nice report. What else has been happening?
So Saturday. What can I say about Saturday? So I
Comes after
hosted. Oh,
Friday.
oh, it comes after Friday. It certainly does. I hosted a watch party, and I have to say a huge shout out to the Milton Keynes Sports Bar and Lounge in Newport Pagnell, because they accommodated us. I hosted a watch party for the basketball. So long
No,
story
I
about.
thought you meant a watch. Like,
No, a party where you go and watch the game together. That's what we call it in basketball. That's what I call it. Um, anyway, the story about the tickets is the Breakers were playing a
about the
team.
chickens.
The tickets,
Oh,
yeah,
tickets. Sorry, about the chickens.
tickets. The chickens.
That's why the story about the chickens.
Why would I tell you a story about chickens?
That's what I thought you said.
Oh, Lordy heavens. Tickets!
Yes, no, I got that now, but I thought you said it was chicken. I'm a bit deaf in this ear, yes? I thought you said
Well,
chickens.
turn the other side so your good ear can hear
I have
me.
been doing it, but they're ringing like mad at the moment. So
Okay. All right, I'll forgive you. So they were playing this team called Team Solent Kestrels based in Southampton. So it was an away game for the Breakers. And Solent only allowed 40 tickets issued to Breakers fans. 40.
yeah, that's nice.
Very naughty Team Solent. That's all I'm going to say on that.
You've heard Tara get angry now.
Very, very, very unsportsmanlike, I'm telling you. Yeah, it kicked off a bit of a debate on Twitter because it's just unheard of. And what they said was that if any Breakers fans buy any home tickets, they're going to kick them out. So very, very naughty Team Solent. We do not like that kind of sportsmanship.
Well, that's why they
Anyway,
get 20 tickets next year.
well, we don't have to face them next year. I'll just go. You didn't see that. Yeah, so that was caused a bit of an uproar. Anyway, they were sold, as you can imagine. They flew out the window. So it was like the rest of us fans were sitting there twiddling our thumbs, like, well, that's not fair. That's not right. What are we going to do? So I created this watch party, which we had at the Milton Keynes Sports Bar and Lounge. Fantastic venue, got to say, and they were
I
very,
did see
very
something about that, but I thought you meant watches, right? So, okay.
well, just like you thought I meant chickens.
Yeah, but this ear's ringing like mad. It's got tinnitus, and this one's ringing because I've cleaned it. So
Mm, mm.
I've got the cement out of that here.
It was really great. There was about 50 of us went down there. We all watched the Breakers game. It was an absolutely crazy, crazy game. Um, first quarter, we were shocking. We were absolutely shocking. I think at one point we were like 15 points down. It was really, really poor performance by the Breakers. Second quarter played better, a bit more defensive, which was good because it stopped Solent scoring that too many. And then we went into half time 10 points down. So it wasn't too bad. And I thought at 10 points down, they could do this. They can absolutely do it because we had to win by 8. So we're not just win, but we had to win by 8 and then we get automatic promotion to D1. Um, so they came out the second half, played so much better, were banging their baskets, were defensively, it's like a different team. They were so coherent and really played a really good defensive game. Stopping Solent getting that many points. I mean, I think it was something ridiculous. I think they only scored about 8, 9, 10 points for the second quarter. It was a
Third
really low
quarter.
scoring game for Solent.
Third quarter.
Some, eh?
Third quarter.
Yeah.
Now you said second quarter, but it's the third quarter because they went in at half time by losing by 10.
Oh, did I? Oh, well, I meant the third quarter. Sorry. I'm
I
getting
know,
excited,
darling.
you see.
This is why I have to always help you. 2 goes before 3.
No, it doesn't. Oh, yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Yes, you're right. It does. It does. It does. Sorry.
Don't worry,
Anyway,
everybody. Teletubbies is on very shortly.
anyways, anyways, back to the third quarter. We go into the fourth quarter leading the game by, I think it was 3 or 4 points. Can't remember. And we come out in the fourth quarter, and it was the fourth quarter literally belonged to Jordan Spencer. I've now nicknamed him the General. He's the General because not only is the captain, he absolutely commandeered that quarter. His shots were flying in. He was winning fouls from nothing. It was crazy, absolutely crazy. Um, anyway, they win the game by how many?
Breakers,
Yep.
7.
Bearing in mind they needed 8 points to get the
Oh, well, maybe
automatic
9
promotion
then.
by 9. Like literally by 9. So this is on the hooter, okay. The Solent have possession. And I've got to say, the National Basketball League or Basketball England, your cameraman was atrocious, absolutely atrocious. Um, so the player's got the ball for Solent, and he goes to shoot it, rebounds off, but he gets his own rebound, and then he goes to shoot it again, and it goes in the basket, um, and the hooter goes off. But what the cameraman does is he doesn't go to the scoreboard or to a team. The team Solent players who scored the basket falls on the floor and bangs the floor, right, with his fist. And the cameraman literally just focuses on this player on the floor. So if you're at the game in Southampton, you know what's happened. But for us watching at the watch party, we were like, well, what happened? Have they given the basket? Have they not given the basket? We had no clue what was going on until we saw some of the fans and the players cheering, and then we knew that we'd won. That's how bad the cameraman was. So need to do better next time, Basketball England.
Yeah, but Solent aren't going to be in the same division, are they?
Hell no. We're
So,
going to D1, they stay in D2.
so who cares?
But that doesn't stop no, no, this was the Basketball England cameraman. Nothing to do with
Oh
Team
well, you
Solent.
should send a letter in of complaint, an email. You should email in and say that guy here he needs to borrow Steve's glasses and can't see anything.
Well, it was just so poor because normally, if a team's won, as soon as the hooter goes, you focus on the team that's won, right?
Mm, yeah,
But this cameraman didn't. He literally it was a good 5, 6 seconds. He was focusing on this player on the floor, so
well maybe it
nobody
was
knew
his
what'd
son.
gone on. Oh, maybe, I don't know. It was obviously he was definitely not a Breakers fan because he missed a few baskets as well during the game of the
Mm.
Breakers, but not one for Solent. So I don't think he was a Breakers fan.
No,
Anyway,
it was a basket case.
effectively, what happened was that the guys didn't release the ball
In
before
time,
the hooter, so therefore the basket didn't count.
correct.
So we're
That's
going to
cool.
D1. We're going to D1.
So, having got through that, then I assume now that you're over the moon.
Over the moon. And we've just got the playoffs now, but the playoffs are fine. You know, we just that's just for fun for the Breakers now.
No. So the Breakers have had a good week. You've
They've
had
had
a
a
nice
good
party.
season, a
Yeah.
really good season. Bad news is that Mike New Jr. He got an injury mid-season, and unfortunately, because he's having to have his treatment and operation on the NHS, and he's still on the waiting list, he's probably going to be out all next season as well. So
We'll get someone else in.
that's bad news. That's really
How
bad
much do
news.
these
But
guys earn a week, do you reckon?
huh?
How much do you think these guys earn a week?
They don't get paid.
They don't get paid. Blimey.
No, they all have jobs. They all have full-time jobs.
Yeah, or nearly full-time jobs. Yeah.
Or yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and then you kind of hope that the players don't get scouted by a team that does pay them, because then we're gonna be
Yeah. Well,
in
that's
trouble.
probably going to happen as they go up the ladder. But
Possibly,
I know it is.
possibly. But you know,
I
they
don't
get
get scouted
sponsorship.
anymore. Don't worry. So I'm.
They can get sponsored and things like that. But yeah, it's uh, it's a difficult situation when you're not a professional, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Amateurs.
but amazing performance by the Breakers. They did what they had to do. They grinded it out. You know, it was just it was crazy. The atmosphere at the watch party was incredible, absolutely incredible. So, you know, I've got to say thank you to everybody who came down and made it a really eventful evening. And
Hmm.
then at the end of the game, I got a call from Southampton, and it was one of the coaches was FaceTiming to sort of let the team celebrate with the people at the watch party.
Oh, that's nice.
So that was really
That's
nice.
nice.
So like we were both kind of holding our phones up, and he was showing his phone to the players, and they were all cheering along with us, and that was a really,
It's really,
really
really
nice
good fun.
gesture.
No, it's nice.
Yeah, really,
I'm
really
pleased.
nice
That's good.
time.
They might find it a bit harder in Division One.
Well, I mean, they've played two teams in Division One.
Mm.
One team they won because they won the cup out of it, beat them in the final. Um, I wouldn't say it was a convincing win, but they won. They won well, you
Mm.
know, and that was the Derby Trailblazers. And they played Hemel Storm twice last season. No, once last season and once this season in the trophy. Last season it was the semi-final and it was a really close game. And this season again, it was the trophy, and Hemel beat us, knocked us out the trophy. But again, a really, really close
Yeah.
game points wise. So,
So
you
you're
know,
getting a
they're
busy
not going to
girl.
win every game. They
No,
won't win every game, but I think they'll finish top three.
that's not bad.
Mm.
Just have
But
to wait and
that's
see.
going to be, it's
We'll have
going
an
to be
update, won't we? Because next season's going to be upon us.
absolutely. And I'm kind of toying with the idea now they've gone to D1 to not do the football and just do the basketball.
It's indoors.
It is indoors. It
Yeah, and when
really is
it's
warm.
really, really cold, you think,
But
oh,
I
I've
mean,
got
the
to play
reason
football,
why
freeze everything off.
I
Oh,
know in the rain and the wind and the muds, but the reason why is because I get a lot of listeners on the basketball.
oh, do the
Um,
basketball. You know, you did the
and I
football to
just
give you
think,
an insight, and you know, and it's not, it's not always easy. And the thing is, I mean, I know when I used to play, I'm going back a long time ago, but when I played properly, I used to play, and I used to go out when it was really, really cold. I mean, we didn't have the Under Armour and stuff like that people have today.
Yeah.
We went out. I mean, I just put a t-shirt on underneath my football shirt. That was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then, of course, going back a long time, we used to put a bit of that stuff on that warms your legs up a bit. And I put my feet in some hot water before a game at home,
Yeah.
and then put my strapping on and my socks on so that my feet were warm. Because you go and
Yeah.
play football with cold feet on a hard day on a hard pitch on a cold day, you can't feel the ball.
I know. I know.
And I
Um,
couldn't believe how many used to come out and used to run out, and I think they never used to stretch or anything. I used to think, mate, how can you do this? You wonder why you get injured, and you wonder why you can't keep up with the game. I think if you're going to play, let's
yeah.
try and do it properly. Well, not everyone does, but we try. So
So
you've
that's
been a
kind of the
rather busy
plan,
girl lately, then.
eh?
So you've been a busy girl lately.
I have been a busy girl, and
Like
you know,
watching
I think
football, basketball, arresting people. I mean, you've been busy.
what else is going on? Yeah. So I think that I'm going to have to sit down and rethink my plan for next season, with the
Yeah.
football and the basketball, and make a decision.
Which sounds to me like you already have.
Well, maybe. I can do just like important games like cup finals and things like that for the leagues, and that's okay. I can stick to doing that. Um,
Well, cup finals are normally the better time of year, so
well, Friday wasn't. Still
no,
cold.
I know, but I mean, we're in the UK. God knows what it's like here. You can get
I
blooming
know.
end of February, 25 degrees. In the middle of April, it's still snowing.
I
So
know. I know. It is crazy.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, so that's kind of where we are. Massive, massive congratulations to Milton Keynes Breakers.
Mm.
Fantastic game, fantastic performance. MVP was, of course, Jordan Spencer. Most points, most rebounds, and he really, especially that fourth quarter, he really, really led that team. And a close
What
second
it's all
was
about, stepping up at
Freckleton.
the time you need to step up.
100%. And I got to say, Blaine Freckleton, he had a fantastic game as well. He's such a master at drawing fouls. And one of the Team Solent's strongest players, he Freckleton managed to get him fouled out in the fourth quarter. So that helped. So that
Yeah,
really helped.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so it was they were just very, very well played tactically and defensively, especially the second half, the last two quarters, they were brilliant. They were so good. And I think it was their defensive rather than offensive play that won them that game ultimately.
Team game.
Yes. So well done to them. I'm
Yeah.
so looking forward to D1. D1, here we come. D1,
So they
here
got
we
a
come.
C3 after that. So
Well, if someone buys them out, they could go to the BBL and be a franchise. Just
yeah,
saying. And
yeah,
then that'll be another basketball team stolen from MK. Just
yeah. I don't know what
saying.
it costs to buy something like that out, but I should think it's
Yes. That can't have that again. Thank you very much. Can't
quite
have
a
it
few
again.
pounds.
Yeah. And then some.
More than I can afford.
So that is the roundup of my week. What about yours?
Well, other than work. Well, I went to Portugal 3 weeks ago.
Oh, you did, yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Steph didn't know until we arrived at Terminal 2 where we were going. So,
Oh, bless.
which was nice. We had a great week. Unfortunately, I caught a cold from my daughter before I went, and no sleep for sort of 36 hours didn't help. Um,
Oh,
I would recommend Portugal. I thought Lisbon was a beautiful place to be. Weather
yeah.
was quite good. I mean, it was sort of 17, 18 degrees. Great to view. Funny enough, was out there when Sporting Lisbon played Benfica in the cup, uh, which Lisbon won 2-1. And of course, Benfica are like Arsenal, and Lisbon are like Tottenham. So I couldn't support Benfica, obviously, as long as I got hold where it is. So I was kind of pleased that Benfica lost. Um, but I went to the stadium, both of them, and we had lunch at the Benfica stadium. I have to say, it was beautiful. And excuse me, the stadium was, or Arsenal Stadium is built very similarly to the Emirates Stadium that Benfica have. 65,000 it holds at Benfica, and it was
Oh, it's a big
really, yeah, it was
stadium.
a lovely stadium, really lovely stadium. Didn't go inside Lisbon Stadium, although went in a little bit of it, but not inside for a sort of wander around. But I've got my Lisbon scarf up there. So I've got one from my team in Spain, which is Atletico Bilbao, and one from my spare team in Spain, which is Valencia. And here I've got Sporting Lisbon. So it's those are the three. Obviously, Spurs I've got all over the place here because there's pictures of all the Spurs players and all the ones and what have you. And obviously, one was on the phone a minute ago, and another
Yeah,
one
we
sent me a
got that.
text earlier. Yeah, it's been a bit of. I had lunch with a couple of them last Friday. It's been a bit of a loving lately, if I say it. But
Oh,
you know, listen, these guys are my heroes. So for me, it's nice to become friends with them over time. It starts obviously as hello, and then it becomes more of an acquaintance. But you know, it's great lately that the way they are with me, which is really nice. Um,
good. Well,
what's been happening on the
I do
sporting
have a
front?
who.
Go on.
Oh, I was going to say I do have a who am I?
Oh, have you? I thought you said you
I
didn't have one.
do. I do.
All right, go
I
on then.
do.
Ask me a question on it. This would be great, I imagine. I hope it's something.
Okay.
It's not something obscure because if it's obscure, we've got no chance. If it's some rugby
Okay.
geezer or basketball, no chance. Yeah.
All right. So this player started playing his sport from the age of 13, and he is currently ranked number 2 in the world.
Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Nope.
Oh, I know who it is.
Go on.
Luke Littner.
Nope.
Oh, it's not a snooker player and it's not a dance player. 13 years old, ranked number 2. Well, when were they born? Because that could be, that's another point.
That will have to come in a little bit of time.
Okay. So, going back a step, um, so world of cricket, not a lot happening. World
Okay.
of football, well, they got these Mickey Mouse games going on, the internationals, apart from a few of them trying to qualify for the Euros. If I tell you I've missed everything, you'll have to believe me, it's been due to work. So I actually don't know the scores of any of the games, if I'm totally honest with you, which is very unlike me. But honestly, I'm on this sort of, as I mentioned off air, I'm kind of up to my neck in it until the 5th of July. Then
Yeah.
it's a bit easier, and at about the 25th of September, it's Schluss. So I'm hopeful of semi-retiring at the end of September, which I think I might
Okay.
deserve. Well, 4 days a week, no more weekends, nights, any of that stuff. That's all out the window. So your doggy started, yeah. Better tell that bitch to behave herself. It is the bitch again, is it?
Because she's been to the groomers, so she's like
Ah, it's
showing off
me.
now.
Right. Anyway, so obviously built a new patio over the weekend with my neighbour, so I've been a rather busy boy. And well, work at the moment's going so much I don't know where I'm coming or going half the time. So
Oh,
other than that, is chaos. I'm looking forward to the cricket season starting because round about the end of April, early May, when it starts getting into the groove of the cricket, that's the time of year when normally we've got daylight all day long, well, till 10 o'clock at night here at least.
mm.
The weather's a bit warmer. You feel better about things. And I know that the 2 months I've got coming up after that, it's better to have the better weather when I'm able to have a break in the afternoon and an hour or two in the garden. So, that's the
So you'll
plan.
be going to see the cricket then?
So when we get to the beginning of July, um, I hope that I will be able to work probably 4 days a week, maybe 4.5. So I will have Sunday, Monday off, I imagine, something like that. So it'll be a chance to go and see the cricket. I've got some friends I haven't spent any time with at all. I'd love to have a round of golf. That's just been out the window for 10 months already.
Wasn't there
You know,
some golf going on at the moment?
there's always golf going on. The Masters will be on shortly. Um, and of course, the next big issue on the snooker's the Worlds, because that's that's the next big event, really big event. That's in about 2.5 weeks' time.
Yep.
Starts on Saturday fortnight. So um, I don't know if Ronnie can win it, because with Ronnie, you never know with him.
Oh,
Well, he's the most talented player ever to play snooker. There's no ifs and buts about that. The thing is, he gets out of bed one day and thinks, "Oh, I can't be bothered," and can lose to anyone.
mm,
But if he plays because he's desperate to win it, um, then of course he is really a class above every other player. But it's a long tournament, and
yeah,
everyone backs him to win it every year. He's always favourite, but I'm in the camp of, well, it's very hard to retain it, and also probably in this case, he doesn't need the money.
yeah.
I don't know.
So he's got no incentive. He's
I
won
don't.
so many
Well, I
titles.
think the world title, you do have an incentive because it's to win it again. I mean, that's the thing.
Mm,
He's got more centuries than anybody. But the thing is, again, another thing with Ronnie. I mean, people forget this. Ronnie's like 49 this year, and he's on something like 1,200 centuries. But the guy who's second is only 32, 33, and that's Judd. So,
mm,
Judd is in a position that he could catch him. I mean, for me, those two are the best final. One's
yeah.
left-handed, one's right-handed. I know Ronnie's predominantly right-handed. They're both flair players, both good players to watch. But you know what? You don't always get what you expect in the final, as over the years has proved. But you know, now
Mm,
on a completely different subject,
okay.
we had Cheltenham in the horse racing.
Yep.
Um, I love watching Cheltenham, but I have to say that over the last 2, 3 years, I'm beginning to find Cheltenham a little bit laborious. And
Oh.
the reason I say that is there are races where a trainer has got 5 or 6 runners in an 8 or 9 runner field. Now, I fully
Mm,
appreciate that the owners of the horses want their horse to run in a great race if the opportunity arises. I get that. But if you're the trainer, and admittedly you're doing the best for each of the people that own a horse, I understand that too. If you've got 6 runners in a 9 runner race, basically you're buying the race, and it loses a bit of kind of enjoyment for me.
okay.
And nothing against Willie Mullins, he's a brilliant trainer, no question. But for God's sake, the other day he had a race. I think there were 8 runners in the race. He had 5 of them. The
I
day
see what you
after there were
mean.
10 runners. He had 5 of them. I mean, when you've got
Yeah.
half the field, it it's.
It's a
I
bit
think
of a
they should
monopoly then, isn't it?
yeah, it is. It's become a monopoly, and
Mm,
I think that's wrong. And people might argue, well, if he's putting the best horses in the race, fair enough. But Cheltenham is a spectacle. It's a fantastic day out. I know it's a lot of people there, and I know for me as an individual, it would drive me mad now. Unless I'm sitting in a box or something, I'd find it incredibly frustrating, because to queue up for 3 hours to get a pint of Guinness and then someone pee down your leg because they can't get to the toilet is just, you know, it's just not for me. I don't like all that stuff. It's too many people. It does my head in. Too much noise, and I can't have all the noise, in and out of me. I can't make out what anyone's saying,
yeah.
which is bad enough just when you're talking. So no, but I mishear things regularly. Not because you're doing it, because the sound doesn't resonate properly.
Right.
And I've had a cold and a cough. That doesn't
That
help either.
doesn't help. Yeah.
Excuse me. But yeah, I think Cheltenham was better for me when it was 3 days. I'm not so sure that 4 days makes it better anymore. I think it's made it more sort of watery.
Okay.
Um, and I also concerned about the fact that some of the races used to have 20 runner races where you could get a result. Now we're getting a lot of 8, 9, 10 runner races. Place pots aren't very good. The races are exciting, but you're basically waiting for a favourite to fall over. And that's not what racing's about. That's not how it should be.
Yeah.
So I think Cheltenham have got greedy, and it's not as good as it was, in my opinion. So it's been on. Aintree's 3 days, which is 11th to 13th of April. I think that's a better meeting, if I'm honest.
Mm,
I think Cheltenham should really look at resolving this issue. Um, by all means, have the races, but they've gone from having originally, when it was a 3 day meeting, they used to have 19 races. That was it. 6, 7, 6, I think it was. And then it, because the middle day had the bumper race. And then it became 7, 7, 7. And 21 races, they thought, well, we're all right for 3 days until they decided to start fiddling around with it and they wanted 24 races. So then they had
oh,
4 days with 6 races, and now it's become 28 races. And I
mm,
just think maybe one or two of those races that they have got are really, if I'm honest, a bit crap. And they might be better off just doing 3 days of 8 races.
right.
And people would say, well, because there's a place pot for 6 races, but you can have 2 quad pots, first 4 races, last 4 races. So I think they'll still get their money in. I really do.
Mm,
And I just think that the public, if they had it on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it used to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but I think if they did Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I think it would be a better meeting. And I think there's a lot of horse people that feel maybe it's a bit too watered down. So
okay.
that's the racing. Snooker obviously is going on. The golf's been going on, but the Masters is soon. Um, and then, of course, we've got various other summer sports getting underway. We've got the Euros coming up, of course, in June.
Yeah.
England are one
Well,
of
we
the
have got
favourites.
the F1 season's obviously started.
We don't talk
Um,
about that; it's just a waste of time.
I
Another
talk
sport,
about it.
and that's another sport that's gone all wrong.
Well, it's gone a bit crazy, especially with all the behind the scenes stuff going on as well. But it was a good weekend for Ferrari, 1 and 2. They won.
Yeah, but I don't want to sort of go on about it. But I said this on numerous occasions. I have nothing personally against Max Verstappen. I really don't. But he was given a world title in a race which he should not have been given. Since that happened, Lewis Hamilton hasn't been able to hardly get anywhere near winning a race.
No.
You kind of wonder whether he's got the same heart and desire that he might have had. And I'm not saying he has or hasn't because I don't know him, but I do wonder. It's become such again, this has become such a monopoly that everyone else is
It's
just sitting there going,
boring.
yeah, and that's the thing. And I say this with any sport, with any team. If
Mm,
you're the best and you've aspired to become the best, and over the course of 2 or 3 years, you've seen this particular club, player, whatever it is, at whatever sport improve, and you think, you take a team, football team, and you think, oh, well, they got promoted out the championship. They were very good in the championship. The first year in the Premier League, they finished about 15th. The second year, they were 8th. And you can see how they've developed. You think, oh, now they're pushing for top 4. And you can see a progression. That's great. But when I look at the way it is with Man City, they're pretty dominant in the Premier League. If you look at their record the last sort of 8, 9 years, they spent unbelievable amount of money. No question, they're going to get absolutely stripped when their findings come out eventually.
yeah.
But as much as they're great to watch, and I want to watch good football, it gets a bit boring. And I don't mind saying it. I hope they get turned over in the Premier League this year, but not by Arsenal. Um, but I'd rather Liverpool win it because I think Jurgen Klopp's a fantastic manager. But I will say
Mm.
this: the top three sides at the moment have got the longest serving managers by a long way. Even
Yeah.
Arteta, he's been at Arsenal 5 years, so he's had a chance to build a team. And I know that my friends who support Arsenal think that I'm always sort of very anti them. I'd like to defend certain things here. The last 10 games they played, they had a great result against Liverpool, but Liverpool were poor defensively on the day and gave them 2 goals.
Mm.
They beat Newcastle easily, but I will say that in fairness to that statement, Spurs beat Newcastle easily. Chelsea have beaten Newcastle easily. They don't travel very well, Newcastle, at the moment. Couldn't back them to win a one-horse race at the moment. They might be all right at St James's, but away from home, they're rank. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
So they haven't. They beat Liverpool, yes, and they beat Porto, who were outstanding in my opinion in the Champions League. But I'm talking about league games, they've played 7 games against teams you'd expect them to beat. I know they won them very easily, but beating Luton and Forest, they're not hard. I know I say it with Spurs are playing Luton at the weekend, but they're not hard. The biggest surprise result that Arsenal had was beating West Ham 6-0.
Yeah.
So, they haven't, with the exception of probably West Ham, Newcastle, and Liverpool, the other 7 games are all gimmies, in my opinion. And they
Mm.
won them very convincingly, but you'd expect them to. So the test starts now for Arsenal, and if they're really going to win the league this year, they've got to win at the weekend at Man City.
Oh,
Do I think they will?
100% they
No,
do.
can't see it. And then Man City, because they're embroiled in so many games, supposed to have played Spurs in 3 weeks' time, can't play at Tottenham because they're playing in the semi-final. So Spurs get another week off, and we're playing Arsenal the week after
Mm.
at Tottenham. And Arsenal could be in the semi-final of the Champions League by then. So the game will get switched from Sunday back to Saturday lunchtime to help Arsenal out, which I couldn't agree with more. That's what it should be. The English
Yeah.
side should help the other English sides in Europe 100%.
Yeah.
If I was Arsenal player and I'm thinking, Jesus, we're playing Man City in the semi-final of the Champions League, which is how the draw would be if they get through, and we go Spurs, Man City, and then Man City again. I don't know. I'd be thinking we could win the Champions League because I think whoever wins that game, if that's the game, wins it.
It
Because
could well be the
Man City
game.
are playing Real Madrid, and I can't see a better team in the competition than Arsenal, Man City, and Real Madrid. And I think Man City and Real Madrid are both better than Arsenal. So it is feasible that Arsenal play Man City. See, this is the thing. If Arsenal play Man City, Arsenal can beat them in the semi-final. If Arsenal play
Mm.
Real Madrid beat Arsenal. No doubt about it. They're just used to winning that tournament. So
Well, it's definitely going to be an interesting run of games for both. Well, for all teams,
yeah,
really.
well, that's why I fancy Liverpool because Liverpool have got. I don't think they've got a difficult draw in the Europa.
Mm.
Having got knocked out of the FA Cup, realistically, if you look at the running that Liverpool have got, they've only got 3 tough games. And Spurs at home for them is normally a gimme. So, I've got to say that I would, my money would be on Liverpool, 100%.
Yeah.
But, listen, football makes a fool of anybody. We all know that. You get a result thing. How did that happen? So,
Well, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
and your
I think
mob,
it's
who's
huh?
your mob?
Who's my what?
Who do you support?
You know who I support.
Who's that then?
I'm an Arsenal girl.
We don't mention that name on the table.
Oh,
I know who you support.
so did you watch England play on Saturday
No,
against Brazil?
no.
You didn't miss much.
To be honest with you, didn't it finish 0-0?
No, Brazil scored 1-0.
Did they?
Mm,
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah.
Brazil hadn't won their last 3 games, so they managed to beat half an England team, yeah?
Well, I mean, I think it was some like young Brazilian player, some
Yeah, but I know Kane wasn't playing because he's injured. I know
yeah,
all the Arsenal players pulled out for various different reasons.
yeah,
Um, I think one or two of the other. I mean, look, I understand it's Brazil, but for heaven's sake, why do we have these games? No, what is the bloody point? Why not just leave the stupid internationals out of it, right? Just
yeah,
carry on with the league, finish the league season 2 weeks early for a change. If you want the Champions League final 2 weeks after the end of the season, if you're an English side in the final, you're going to carry on training for that final, aren't you? But everyone
definitely.
else can go and relax. Then you've got the Euros. But the people who have got nothing up here, they're the ones in charge. Because I tell you how good it is. The Euros, effectively, only 4 teams can win the Euros, really. Okay? And those only 4 countries, sorry, can win the Euros. So England, France, Germany, I wouldn't really expect them to, and Spain.
Mm,
I think the rest of them don't even need to bother. So, without being rude to the rest of them, who's going to be in the Champions League final? More than likely an English team and or a Spanish team is likely to be in the final.
yeah,
So the teams with the best leagues have got to be in the final. So consequently, bring it forward a week, finish the league season a week early, and give all the players a chance to be relaxed before they play in the Euros. Because all the Mickey Mouse leagues, where they got rubbish leagues that finish 1st of May or whatever, have got 5-6 weeks break before they start. That's not right.
preparation. Yeah,
It's not right.
yeah.
In the next World Cup, I mean, what planet has FIFA on? Oh, it's celebrating 100 years of Argentina and 100 years of Canada and 50 years of. They're going to have one game in Argentina, one game
I
over there.
know,
Oh my
I
God.
know.
And if you're unlucky, so England are fine because they can't be drawn against Argentina because Argentina are going to be ranked in the top 4, probably. And I imagine
Yeah,
England will be as well. So they won't, they'll be in their own groups. But you could be a second ranked European side, a very strong second ranked European side, and you're in the same pot as Argentina. So you've got to bugger off to Argentina to play a game of football and climatise, and then the next game you're playing in Canada.
I
I mean,
know.
it's just
It is
nuts.
ridiculous.
Absolutely. Oh, honestly, the people who
I
come
mean,
up
not
with it.
only the players, but you've got the fans hopping around all
Oh,
over the place.
yeah,
The amount
fine.
of money they're going to have to spend, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly a short trip to Argentina, yeah?
Absolutely. Or
You know,
Canada.
from Argentina,
Huh?
Argentina to Canada's got to be 7-8 hours on a plane. It has to be. You've got to
Eh,
go north through America,
Yeah, yeah.
and I don't know, so and you're not going the time difference as well. I mean, going to Argentina, then going up there, and then after you've played them in Canada, you could be playing somewhere like Memphis. So you can, woo. I mean,
I know.
you get out of bed in the morning, and go, what day is it?
Where am I?
Yeah.
I know. I think FIFA are getting ridiculous with all this.
The only good thing about it is the only good thing is it's in the summer of 2026, and I reckon by then I've semi-retired properly, so I'm not worried because all the games are in the afternoon and evening, so I don't care.
So you'll
I'm
be
going to work
watching
in the
them.
morning, and you can go stuff it if you want a lesson in the afternoon. I'm watching the football.
Oh
Now
no,
I
it
do.
is it's silly. I don't even know logistically how it's going to work, but it just sounds like a nightmare. It really does.
I think they're making make the logistics harder and harder and harder. I mean,
But for what reason? Doesn't
look,
make sense.
I understand that you want to have a centenary match for a country. I get that, but to Argentina could have hosted a centenary match, probably against Brazil,
Mm.
and FIFA could have made it a special international friendly match. And Argentina Brazil is, well, I say it's a local derby, but I mean, to go from Brazil to Argentina is not that far in
Isn't
terms of
no.
where you are, time zones, and what have you. I'm not
Yeah.
saying you can get there in 10 minutes, but it's not 10 hours,
Yeah.
right? So they could have made that more practical. I just think that they've tried to encompass letting every. I mean, they'll say it's world football, but I mean, look, I've always thought it's a bit bent, all this stuff, if I'm totally honest with you. They had a tournament in South Africa 14 years ago. Have you seen any South African sides do well lately?
Not lately. Definitely not lately.
Have you seen South Africa qualify for international football?
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
Okay. So the last World Cup was Qatar. Yeah. Their
Yeah.
league is buying every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there and what have you. Yeah. But do you think Qatar, in terms of international football, are going to be better than Pot D in any World Cup coming up?
Probably not. I
No.
mean, to be fair, I can't even remember Qatar playing. I don't think I've even watched them play.
Right. So the point is, they want to have a World Cup to make everyone play in it. Fine. But they had a World Cup in Russia. Russia decided to have a war, so they can't go to a World Cup now, even if they wanted to. So, you know, it might have been a great World Cup to watch, which I thought it was. Have to say that it was the best World Cup I've watched. But the Russians were on their best behaviour. That numpty in
Mm,
charge of Russia was in it on his best behaviour. But
mm.
that's as crooked a country as you're going to see worldwide. There are loads of them like that, by the way. You know, I'm in disbelief. I mean, how England, after 60 years, can't get another World Cup?
I know. Well, they don't. The FIFA doesn't like England, does it? Just doesn't like
But,
England.
but Mexico 70, Mexico 86. Oh, look, Mexico got another bloody World Cup 2026.
Mm,
It's not right. It's just not right.
I
And they go,
know.
oh, but you've had the Euros. It's not the same
It's
thing.
not the same.
This country, if you look at the stadia in this country, so, and this isn't picking on any team. We've got a brilliant stadium at Newcastle, even though it's lopsided because of the railway line. Liverpool have made a change to their size of their stadium. Everton, well, nobody quite knows what their stadium would be like, but I assume it would be pretty decent by the time the World Cup would be round. You've got Spurs' ground, which is superb. You've got Arsenal's ground, which is excellent. You've got Wembley. You've got the Olympic Stadium. I know you can't have four lots in London. I appreciate you can't have four lots in London. But you have got stadia that are out of this world.
Yeah.
Manchester City's ground is pretty decent. And I've
Mm,
got to say that Sunderland's ground is okay. And then, of
mm.
course, eventually, I mean, Manure's ground will eventually get bulldozed and they'll build a new one because they're gonna move it a bit because again, their ground is also horrendous because
Yeah.
it's falling down, but they got a railway line on one side. They got the it's a bit like Chelsea's. It's a very awkward. They need to move it a bit, which Chelsea are doing.
Yeah.
So I mean, the size of UK is tiny. If you compare it to America, it's tiny. To get
Yeah.
around is great. It really is easy. I mean, you know, without being rude, if you're in London and you're playing in Newcastle, you can drive there in 3.5 hours.
Mm,
So
yeah.
you're not moving people all over the place.
No, it's not
So
taking you a day to get anywhere.
exactly, and you're not having time zone differences. You know, it's. I just think they really should think about it, FIFA. But they seem to have this. I don't know. I'll tell you when the next World Cup will be in England. It'll be in 2066. Yeah, I won't see it.
Well, either that or when they decide to stop being so corrupt in FIFA, then maybe we'll see changes. But
That's it.
until then, I can't see it coming to us.
No,
There'll be excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse. So
now can't see it. Now I don't know if we've got
no,
time, but maybe we have. So I mentioned this to you off air.
yeah,
So I'm wearing a t-shirt, which oh, that way around, which some people can probably read.
legend on the bench.
Legend on the bench. Don't know if you can read that. Don't know if you can
Oh
read that.
no,
Hold on.
no,
I have to get down a bit. No.
someone is always listening.
Yes.
Okay,
So, not that I need to uh, promote stuff on my behalf. It's for a friend of mine, but it's not for a friend of mine. It's for everybody. So, my friend Mickey, who called earlier, sadly lost his nephew to suicide 5 years ago. And with the job that you do, you know a lot of these dangerous things can happen. Earlier this afternoon, while I was at work, my thing pinged on my phone. And literally, as I said to you, about 5 minutes before we came on air, I managed to print off a copy of what was pinged to me on air. And it's about a lady called Caroline March. Now, I have not read this article. So, reading it, obviously, I've got to look at it. I have no idea what it says, but I do
mm,
know when I read it, it's obviously going to be quite painful to hear. But I'm trying to promote something that, if anyone is actually listening, that the point of this t-shirt and the charity that it represents and the causes that it's aimed at is to say somebody is always listening. So I'm going to read you this article, if I may. I'm sorry if there's some rude language in it, because there might be, but I'm just reading what was here, not other than what's come out. So this
okay.
lady, it says here, it's with heavy hearts that we share the news of Caroline March's passing yesterday, March 23rd, just over a month after her 31st birthday. Caroline was well known and loved throughout the British eventing community for her big personality and fiery streak, and a zest for the things that she loved that saw her accomplish much in her 3 decades. She was a professional event rider, competing through four-star, and after a career-ending injury in Burnham Market in 2022, she fought to find a new way to chase joy and purpose. Caroline oversaw the production of young horses from her yard when she could no longer produce them herself, and in the typical spirit of someone who throws himself into anything they pick up, she began photographing eventers too, swiftly developing her skills to a professional level. But no matter how many talents a person has, they are much more than what they do. And Caroline's passing, a dignified end to her life that she was able to choose for herself, will be mourned by a wide array of people who were fortunate to count themselves amongst her friends and family. Caroline penned a farewell letter, which is now on here. There is some colourful language. We just want you to know the truth and read the letter. So, as you can see, the writing here is tiny.
Mm,
So, as I say, I haven't read this, but I'm going to read it out to you. Where to even start writing this? Ideally, I'd like to say nothing at all, because at the end of the day, the people who I care about know. But of course, with the world we live in, everyone will have an opinion which they'll feel and need to say. So I will attempt to put what I've done here to silence the voices. I've had a lot of people trying to guilt trip and tell me what and how I should be thinking this last couple of years. I get that it's coming from a kind place, but with so little understanding of me, If you don't know me, and I'm talking really know me, not just know who I am, you have absolutely no right to judge. People will automatically jump to conclusions and blame depression. Just how wrong you are. Believe me, all I've heard is talk to someone, you must be depressed, from the unqualified. When I then do talk to someone qualified, they say they've met very few people who are so mentally aware. A few know how badly I suffered with depression, along with imposter syndrome, crippling body dysmorphia, and anxiety for near on 13 years. I can honestly say I thought suicidal thoughts were normal, and I'm not talking the odd thought. I'm talking multiple times a day. I thought it was just something people dealt with. I've been on antidepressants, I've done the medication route. 2020 and COVID was my saviour. I could step off the wagon wheel, that was being a professional event rider, and truly focus on myself with no pressures. I did a lot of self therapy, took a lot of time to truly understand my brain, what made me tick, what I needed to improve my mental state, what and who hindered it, and I really did. I learned to love myself and grew in confidence, and that continued with continuous work and the support of a very few special people who made me truly believe that I was an amazing person and could be loved for who I was. This is very difficult to read because it's really small. It surprised me as much as anyone that I never sunk back into the hole post injury. Yes, I had bad days, weeks where I was distraught and so unhappy, but it's different, so different. It's been hard, really hard, but it's just totally different emotions. I'm so angry. I worked so hard to get my head in a place where it wasn't the limitation of my future. I had this overwhelming feeling of freedom, and within 18 months, the limitation was physical and permanent. No amount of hard work could fix that. The first year and a bit, I really threw myself into physio, intensive weeks, bought whatever I could to help, and it did daily, sometimes multiple times a day. I even flew to America for experimental treatment. I tried doing things, sports, activities to give myself the best chance of any recovery and enjoy life like this. I got nothing, not a twitch, nothing. I have so many erroneous feelings, many in places you just don't want them. So you have to understand she's fallen off a horse as an inventor and become crippled from it, yeah?
Yeah.
I've always believed that you can't change the DNA in your head. What makes you tick as an individual, your beliefs and your loves. I'm feral, a complete rogue, someone that thrives on spontaneity. It took me a long time to understand that about me and love it. I'm feminine, masculine, strong, sexy, intelligent, loving, loyal, needy, and a heart of gold all in one. Quite simply, put everything that defines me is physically not possible to do in a way that I enjoy. I hate asking for help. Not because I can't, because I love doing things for myself. It destroys me watching people do my jobs. I'm possibly the most independent, strong minded, stubborn CUNT going. I'm manual labour. I produce horses. I drive wagons and help on the farm. I'm a dirty bitch and complete whore for sexy underwear. I'm Chris Cold Mornings taking my dogs for a walk. I kill things for fun, stupid miles on my bike. My idea of a holiday is off grid huts, exploring inaccessible landscapes. I don't just like the countryside, I need it. I need risk, that dopamine hit and the threat of danger. Whether this was a good thing or not, I don't know, but I'm not scared of anything physical. Adrenaline hits are my addiction. All I ever wanted was a family, and I'd have given everything in an instant for one. Two or three little sprogs running around the family farm, having inherited my feral ways. I really wanted to be a young mum, and I'd have been an effing good one. I don't have any yet. I'm fully aware, as everyone keeps telling me. I can, potentially, nothing's ever certain, still have children. And if I did, I would sacrifice my own happiness for theirs, but I don't. And to be honest, with the way the world is going, I don't want to reproduce and bring them up on how I have to now. The future for our kids and grandkids is what truly terrifies me. I could say so much more on this, but that's not what this is about. I've never understood society's obsession with longevity and the need to live as long as possible. Alan Watts, a well known philosopher, famously said, I'd rather have a short life that is full of what I love doing than a long life spent in a miserable way. Assisted suicide is always something that I believed in, and have always said that if anything happened to me and I was forced into a predicament that I couldn't have the quality of life that I wanted, that would be the route I'd take. Not going to lie, I never imagined it would come to fruition, but here we are. Think, me before you. It's not my only option. I could keep going, but it's a decision I've made which is the best route for me. Just because you don't agree with my decision doesn't make what I've done wrong. Life is about compromises, but when nothing counteracts the compromise, it becomes a sacrifice. And no one will want to live entirely based on sacrifices. My decision may well be interpreted as selfish, and if that's your view, then I'm sorry. I'm probably being a sport brat, but I've always been one of those, so why change now? At the end of the day, this is only about me. No one can truly understand what I have to go through. My utmost respect for anyone who hasn't only made a life after injury, but those that have flourished. I take my hat off to you. You really are inspirations, but that ain't me. I don't want to be one, I never have. I effing hate people and avoid where possible. I'm happy doing things in my way. There is possibly a handful more that truly understand the decision I've made and have been here and supported me through the steps. I can't thank you enough, and you know who you are. I'm so independent and so stubborn, nobody was going to change my mind. I'm fully appreciative to those that tried. I have such an understanding of my head these days that I know I would have never been truly happy or fulfilled. There is a lot of new treatments for SCI, and the developments are exciting. For anyone else's sake, I hope it continues so my projected future isn't the same for everyone. A broken back can soon be treated the same as a broken arm. I personally believe, be it rightly or wrongly, that they can't find a cure for SCI. I fully respect that it's unbelievably complicated. We can grow organisms in test tubes. The vast majority of SCIs don't kill people. It ruins people's lives, but it doesn't kill them, and it's a numbers game. Therefore, priorities aren't high. I'm fully aware that there will be multiple things that I could have been very good at. Does it mean I want to be doing them, or would I enjoy them? No. I still have to think of my ass every morning just to take a shit. It's not an existence I want. The bowel and bladder regime, sexual function, the entire impossibility to do anything and everything that I love. I felt so much love from so many people the last few years. I just wish love could fix it or even make it bearable, but it can't. A characteristic that used to be my strength is now my downfall. I'm so stubborn and determined. I have to be good at everything I do, and I must not slam doors. I was a cantankerous, difficult cow. I'm 10 times worse now. I don't really expect anyone to understand, but if you know me, you'll have some idea of why. Of course, people are going to have their own opinions. But please respect my decision. This is my life and my choice. I am an incredible person, something I genuinely, truly believe now, but it doesn't change anything. Life is cruel, really cruel. I was amazing, a complete independent, stubborn CUNT, but it was an effing good one. And that's her letter saying about her assisted suicide, yeah?
Okay.
I'm sad when I read this, is I've read this to you not knowing exactly what it said.
Mm.
I don't know, having had in my own life depression a long time ago, I don't know how I coped at the time when I look at it now, but I wasn't in a position that my life was curtailed by such a horrific injury that left me in a position where I couldn't do anything for myself properly.
Yeah.
To be that strong-willed, it's difficult, isn't it?
I don't
You
know if
know,
I'd have the guts to do it, to be fair.
no, and that's part of the reason why I'm wearing the shirt, because I believe that people sometimes are so destitute and so completely gone in their head that the only option they see is to, throw himself off a bridge or something like that, because they can't see any way out. It might be because of financial, it could be things that you and I would think, oh, I've lost my kids, I've got divorced, I don't see my kids. And that can be enough to snap somebody. We never know
Mm,
what someone's really, really thinking. And
yeah,
I think that
that's very
one of
true.
the impacts about reading this is sort of saying that you can still make that choice in your life. But for me, and the way I see life, and this charity, Legends on the Bench, that someone is always listening, I'm not saying this would have had an effect on this particular lady. I don't think anything would have had an effect on this lady.
Yeah.
But not everyone is in that position, not to the extreme that they've been, if you like, sort of cut in half, like she's obviously experienced. And therefore, if you do watch this podcast and you do take on board how this lady's portrayed her life, if you're still physically able and capable and you still feel that life isn't right, then please look up Legends on the Bench on the internet. There are numbers everywhere where you can connect to the Samaritans and various other issues and people, the church or whatever, wherever you are. Speak to somebody, because this lady said that she spoke to certain professionals because that was the advice she was given. In her case, she's gone from being a fully fit, fantastic at her sport, to becoming what she sees as herself as a pain in the ass to everybody else around her because they're having to do everything for her. And she didn't want to live like that. And I understand that.
Mm.
But for everyone that's like that, there are 100 that really can't go the distance that she's just done. So if you are out there, please take the time, look up Legends on the Bench. It's a very, very worthy charity. If this letter and what I'm saying gets one person to think, wait a minute, maybe there is hope, maybe there is a light at the end of the tunnel, maybe there is another way of dealing with this that I hadn't thought about, please pick up the phone. The QR code, whatever it is, zap the picture, it will default automatically to numbers. Anything to help, because this woman didn't have in her head what she wanted, but she gave her life, if you like, when it stopped giving her what she wanted from her life. But I
Mm.
believe we should be grateful for every day we get. And I know as I'm now in my 60s, I'm really grateful that every day I get out of bed, even if I got a pain, I'm glad to have something to do and a reason for living. And I think that's the way I approach my life. I think most people would be happier to have something to do. If you're not sure and you're unhappy, or you really feel disillusioned with life, or if you are having suicidal thoughts, please, Legends or Legend on the Bench. Just type it in. I'm sure everything will come up. And hopefully, if you are out there, please, please phone. Thank you.
Definitely a really worthy mental health charity. Mental health conversations, thankfully, are on the rise. But that's also because the numbers of suicides, especially in young adult males, is on the rise. So, that's obviously not a good thing. But the more we talk about it, and the more we give people the information that they're not alone and there are people out there that will listen and help, um, you know, like you say, maybe they'll find themselves in a position where they have another option.
Yeah, it is literally, I think, I don't know for everyone, but I think sometimes you feel that you can't talk to your immediate family or some of your friends because you think some of your friends, people that you're with all the time, they just laugh at you if you like and just think, oh, shut up, you're just talking rubbish. But people genuinely are affected. And I think that sometimes talking to a stranger is easier than talking to your best friend.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and, I, and I think maybe because the stranger's not got anything to gain out of it other than being straightforward with you,
Mm.
whereas maybe some of your friends have a different opinion. But look,
And you definitely
having
won't
read
be
this,
judged. Charities like your one, Legend on the Bench, that they're not there to judge people. They're not there to say you're right or you're wrong. They're there to listen and to help and offer advice and signpost you and things like that. So,
yeah,
um, you know,
and it is all about
it's worth
helping. It is
yeah.
all about helping. There's the whole point of this charity, and to be fair, I suppose for most charities, it is to help somebody else. But this particular charity, I know that the first bench was put in at Sawbridgeworth, where unfortunately there was the original suicide. This was 5 years ago. There's money now for a second bench, which I think is going to be put in at Peterborough, in one of the parks at Peterborough. And these benches are expensive because having had the first one, anyone think, oh, he's just making a bench, which is really easy. But the the whole point of these benches are they have to be done with a special material that locks in all the QR codes and everything, so they don't get tampered with. Um, and they have to be cemented on and bolted into a cement block, which has to be placed in the ground, which obviously has to be dug out. So it's not just a wooden bench that sits in a park with a QR code. It's properly put in. Which of course the first one you've got to make a prototype, then you've got to get it arranged with the council. It's not as cheap as people think it is. And to raise the sort of money we need, it's around about £2,000 for each one of these to be done. So,
Oh, of
because you've got to get the people to do the work, it's not just the
course,
bench
yeah.
is not expensive itself, but all the work and everything else, that's what costs. Um, and of course, you know, I'm going to attend a charity event in June, which I know with Mickey, which is going to raise a lot of money, obviously, a boxing event. So, with a bit of luck, we might be able to get 3 or 4 new benches, and there'll be one somewhere in London, there might be one in Birmingham, there might be one in Manchester. But as this grows, we want to get them all over the place. If every major city's got somewhere, and then obviously more than one eventually, it'd be great because 20,000 benches. That's the sort of target you've got to aim for to make it
Yeah.
national. Because as well as I do, you see an advert and you see it once, it doesn't really stick in your mind. But if you see an advert on a bus in London, and 10 minutes later there's another bus going in a different direction with the same advert on, and then half an hour later, well, there's another bus with that advert. You kind of get a picture in your head. So if
Of
this was
course you do.
advertised
Yeah.
all over the place, if we could afford to advertise it all over the place, then
Mm.
obviously, you know, people would take more interest in it. But if you are out there listening to this show, or you do get the later podcast or whatever, please, I know that normally I'm quite a sort of smiley, happy guy. I think you can tell by my tone that this is very serious. And if you are out there, please, pick up the phone, get the QR code or whatever, and make a phone call. It could save your life.
And the sports deck's very happy to help promote Legend on the Bench. It's definitely a um, well worthy charity, and it is mental health and things like that. It's always been quite a passion for me, in a horrible way because of people's outcomes. Working in the coroner's office, we used to see it day in, day out, and it's
Mm.
the same story. And it's shocking that nothing gets done. Even after years and years and years, that's the same old rhetoric, unfortunately. So the more charities out there, the more people that can ask for help and realize that there's more than one option available. You've just got to have the courage, really, to pick up the phone or speak to somebody, and there is a way out of that darkness.
Mm,
There is.
absolutely, there is. You know.
So I think we'll end it there. A bit of food for thought for everybody. And thank you for your message, Dirty Old Man 34. Interesting name, but big up Sports Deck. Thank you for that.
Mm.
We do like to cover some of these issues sometimes, because they are important and they
It's
do
very
affect a
serious,
lot
isn't
of
it?
people.
Yeah.
So, whatever we can do to help your charity event in June, just let us know. If you want some
Well,
more
it's not
plugging,
mine. It's my friend Paul Champlina, who's the landlord that you see on the TV all the time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He does all the evictions about on Channel 5 with the landlords, and this guy's and he's the one who's arranging it. So it's a Boxing Night in
Okay.
London. But all the charities that go to it, and this year we're having 50-50 because of his charity and our charity. Um, so Legend on the Bench will be there. If you go online, there's a Facebook page, Legend on the Bench fundraiser. I think if you go on the X, you can see Legend on the Bench on X, and you can read all about it. So please, if you are in that situation,
Okay.
cool.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Steve. We will see you all in 2 weeks' time. Keep an eye
Yep,
on socials. We'll let you know a time. And if there's anything else going on with the sports deck, we'll obviously let you know. But thank you for everyone listening in. I know we've had quite a few listeners actually tonight, but very quiet on the comments. But that's okay. That's all right. Maybe they're newbies. And we will see you all next time. Have a good
yep.
evening.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.